It's a real pleasure for me to host you today during our ISACA Warsaw presentation. And today's session, titled A Strategic Blueprint for Understanding AI's Opportunities and Risks, is all about making the world of AI clear, practical, and useful for everyday decision-making. You can also, as usual during our webinars, earn 1 CPE for attending this webinar. During the session, please send an email to info@isaka.wav.pl with your name, surname, and ISACA ID if you have one. So our today's speaker, Kamran Ahmed, brings over 25 years of experience in banking and technology. He spent 18 years at the Saudi National Bank helping modernize operations, strengthen governance, and introduce innovative solutions. He's now researching generative AI and how it can improve resilience and compliance. Kamran has a real talent for explaining complex ideas in a way that's easy to understand and immediately helpful. Kamran, we are happy to have you here with us, and the stage is yours.
Thank you very much for the lovely introduction. You already have my introduction and the title of the presentation. I'll take you through step by step in the generative AI. And if you are interested to connect with me on LinkedIn, so this is my number and this is my link. You can note and you can work. Currently, I'm enrolled in the Doctorate of Business Administration doctorate program specialized in generative AI. And in generative AI, basically, this is the new era of working on AI. So I will explain you, kind of a information that you can, at the end of the day, when you are end of this session, you will understand much better what you previously know. Having said that, so this is our agenda. Since the data management in AI introduced, a lot of new rules has been introduced, and we are not sure what does it mean most of the time, and we don't know the subtle differences between them. So what basically we are doing here, we are taking these rules and the AI related evolution from business intelligence to the agentic AI, then general AI, and the super intelligence. I'll take you through and give you the subtle differences. So these are the main points where we are discussing the AI and the model evolution. And the end, very interesting topic I'm going to share with you, the prompt engineering. The prompt engineering is your livelihood to, as an end user, how to utilize the AI and generative AI specifically in effective manner. So while we are using AI, we are also having the problem of errors. The challenge is the AI is giving you the answer in a way that it looks very real. And this is the job of AI, generative AI. And we have to look into that particular topic as well. And we see how to mitigate those problems. So let's start with the, with the presentation, and you will understand step by step. I will connect everything together, so I'm sure you will understand the chain, how the basically things are happening in the AI world right now. Yes, AI is there, but there are many rules basically has been introduced. But before we discuss the AI most of the time, like 99%, backed by data. And because of the data management itself is a very big field. In this field, I'm going to specifically talk about at least 3 roles: data engineer, data scientist, and data analyst. However, we have also a few more roles like data stewards. I will just go through over and let you know. The data engineer in terms of is basically the starting role, a guy who basically create the data pipelines, who understand the data, who understand the inside the fields architecture, and his responsibility is to create a zero trust architecture to utilize those data set of the information. When we talk about zero trust architecture, it means never trust, always verify. So it means whatever the information is available by the data engineer, it is verifiable. It's not something manipulated or tampered. So the thing is the data engineer is responsible for those things. And close to this data engineer, data steward role is there. The slight difference is this. Let's take an example of a bank. A bank having so many departments within their operation. For example, by product, if you look into, they have a retail. Under retail, they have a personal finance. They are having a project finance. Um, they have a transfers like Swift transfer, local transfers. So data steward normally are one domain subject expert, one or two, where basically the person is working closely with management, operation, and they understand the data by subject, not only by technical variable like old days. So data steward is close to the data engineer who's responsible to create the data pipeline, zero trust architecture. Now come to the data scientist. The data scientist is a person basically uh, who normally help to create the business intelligence solution, predictive analytics, and they're working on the modeling areas. So they normally, based on the pipeline, they are going to create and implement the BI. They work on the business intelligence AI models, and they create the hypothesis to extract the information and validate them. So for example, business intelligence like Power BI or Cognos BI. Um, those are the things basically the data scientists used to work. Data analyst. Data analyst is a guy who understand the data, identify the trends inside. They use the statistical tool to create the conclusion out of it, and it communicate to the stakeholders like business management, financial reporting. So these are the responsibility of data analyst. Some of the time, the data steward also the working as a data analyst. So many rules are overlap each other. The next branch of the profession is the data architect. The data architect is a responsible to create and maintain the logistic for the data management team. It means they are responsible to make it available the data servers. They are responsible to orchestrate the databases in a way that the data engineer can use them, and they are responsible to run the daily operation on a data. For example, the reconciliations, data operations, monitoring the logs. Once we are moving from the data architecture, so one specific role comes, the AI governance. But before AI governance, I'll let you know the glimpse of like a data engineer. AI engineers also there. Those are the people who normally work on algorithms. They are not building the algorithms, but they are using the algorithm, and they are smart to create the links among many tools. For example, we have um, Google Sheets, we have emails, we have a calendars, and we have a databases. These are the people through APIs and the other means to connect all these tools and deliver to create a solution. Similarly, on top of that, the AI is also governance is setting to manage and create the trust and create the usability for the corporations. All of this big umbrella, for example, data management and AI, is governed by chief data officer. Chief data officer is responsible to create the strategy, environment, and the policies, and he's responsible also for the execution. He is responsible to create the strategy and execute this strategy. Under this strategy, for example, data democratization is there. Break the silos of data. So these are all coming under the chief data officer's roles. This slide is going to be a little bit, taking will take more time, and I'll try to, not to make you bored like sleeping or anything, but I will try to make this one is very interesting. But if you understand here, I, put in a very good sequence the business intelligence, then we have a machine learning, then we have a deep learning, then I'll say generative AI agents or agentic AI, general and super AI. So understand that the business intelligence is basically working like this. What has happened, and it describes the descriptive analytics. It means when we are working on business intelligence, so we are working on, give me a minute. Okay. So business intelligence is basically what has happened, and it describe the descriptive analytics. With the business intelligence, we can identify the pattern inside. We see what had happened. We can optimize the operation, but it cannot give you the descriptive analytics. For example, why something is went wrong and what corrective action we can take it. It cannot predict what is basically going to happen, what is basically on the past data, what basically is happened. So what we can say, it's basically a very limited but very comprehensive in a way that, and we are every day we are using, our daily operation support, which are not part of the business intelligence. But when we compile together and create the cubes out of it, model them, and we see, okay, like a balance sheet report and their footnoting, product analysis, all of them happening under the umbrella of business intelligence. Once the limitation for this particular model is it's heavily depend on the data quality. Whole domain of AI and data management heavily depend on the data quality. Business intelligence is not exception, but it is the first entry point where this is happening. The vulnerability in this situation is it's always, we cannot ignore the human bias because the data and interpretation happen through human. So this is one of the weakness. The machine learning, on the other hand, is doing the classification job for us. Uh, the classification means, for example, it predict the things. All of us using, the mobile phone, and we are typing, and the next word comes in. This kind of a prediction. Another example I can give you, very common example is, the customer churn. For example, many of the companies are worried about how much, how many customers are going to leave us this year. And they want to understand what is the reason, and they want to predict those customers to care about them. And then they want to protect this customer not to leave. The customer churn in basically happening in machine learning, which is called predictive analytics. Similarly, we can use the machine learning in the classifications testing. For example, if we want to identify, the kind of a good, bad classification, it's not numerical classification. It's going to be a okay, not okay, based on the classical data. So we can create, we can use a machine learning, and it has a lots of applications. But again, machine learning having a limited output. Where basically the deep learning is started, where basically we are using structural and non-structural data. Structure, we all know that if the data is available in databases, in Excel, or some CSV file, all of them are called structural data. But the moment we are start looking into the non-structural data, it means we are talking about voice, we are talking about sounds, we are talking about images. It means we have a different modalities. And say at the same time, we have the chattings are available. There are many sources of data would be available. Unlike machine learning, the deep learning basically have a lots of inbuilt flexibility available. For example, in machine learning, we have to select each column. We have to do the analysis for elimination and keeping it, because based on their high relevance like correlation. Deep learning doing this work it's themselves. So when we are passing the information, these calculations and identification happening automatically. So we have not to put the effort to eliminate or keep the information while it is there. The deep learning common example is, the image processing. For example, if we need to identify the X-ray, like the patient has a pneumonia or not. If we want to see the radiology images to identify early stage of cancer or kind of a bone cracking, uh, these things can be solved through deep learning in a very efficient manner. So I would say that the deep learning, the utilization is a very quite good. Now the deep learning having a problem that the deep learning will not give you the reasoning why the classification had happened. They will give you just an answer. So it means the reasoning is limited because the whole algorithm of mathematics is a black box for the deep learning models. And then, this solution basically comes into the generative AI. The generative AI, on the other hand, working on a many modalities like text, code, image, sound, all of those things. The basic AI, why this is called generative AI, because it generates the information which is not available before, based on our given data or the prompt. The common example we are observing, chat gpt, Gemini, where basically we just give one or two sentence and the AI giving us a lot of good content out of it. So generative AI is basically started giving us, the generate the new information which was not available before, but at the same time it start giving us the reasoning and plus the flexibility if we want to change it, and plus flexibility we can change the behavior, the output. But this is again the limitation with the generative AI is it gives you the information, but it cannot take action. Action cannot be done. If we want to understand, okay, we want to do, okay, we have to understand, okay, we have some problem and I need to book a doctor appointment or book a ticket, or we want to see, for example, if I receive the new log file error, generative AI cannot take an action. This is where basically AI agents or agentic AI start working. And now we are basically, when we are compiling, the business intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, these all basically, it's not isolated. They are basically taking model upon model upon model. So it means this is comprehensive. For example, the deep learning, the deep learning is a subset of machine learning. And the generative AI is also the part of the deep learning. So it means everything is interconnected. So we have not to think them isolated. Now come back to agentic AI or AI agent. This is the buzzword is happening like a lot in the social media and in the social network or the technology webinars. I'll give you a very simple example. I'll take you, the little bit 5 or 6 years back, where basically the robotic process automation RPA was introduced. It was pre-structured, predefined path we created to execute the defined action. That particular RPA has no capability to take smart action. With the AI agent, what happened? They introduced the LLM, large language models, or SLM, small language models, to create a task in an intelligent way. But again, AI agent can perform only one task in a predefined path, but it is intelligent to mimic the task in a way that you cannot identify it is done by human or is it done by AI. The common example is call centers. The call centers voice is basically clone, and you cannot basically catch the in front of you is the caller is a human or a robot or AI. So if you are chatting, definitely you cannot identify, but in terms of voice, you can also know cannot identify. So it's a pre one task. But when we are talking about agentic AI, so agentic AI is basically a think like that a person, a secretary, a manager is assigning him a task, and based on the task, he's making a smart decision. So, for example, does he has to book the appointment? Does he allow somebody to go inside to meet the manager, or does he has to help the manager for the presentation? There are multiple channels for working. So agentic AI is a combination of many AI agents, and it is a minimal human intervention and taking the smart decision, and it does not have a predefined route because the decision is done by agentic AI. So far so clear. Great. So the thing is uh, we are now where we are standing right now as of in terms of AI. So we are hearing the words of general AI, super AI, but unfortunately we are right now in the narrow AI era, where basically the generative AI is working. But uh, we have to understand then what is a general AI. The general AI is basically a capability of a machine to mimic the all human behaviors without human intervention. It has must have a cognitive behavior, quite sophisticated, but so far we have not achieved that particular um, intelligence. Once we achieve the AGI, general intelligence, the next level is basically surpass the human intelligence and become an independent, become their own species in terms of AI, for the tools, robots, whatever you can call. The assessment for those things is like this: by year 2030, highly likely we are able to achieve general AI if everything going fine. If this is happen, the very next milestone will automatically achieve very quickly super AI, where basically this is AI models and the robots will take up many things, and they can take care of themselves. They do not need after that human, and they surpass the human intelligence. So I'll just discuss you very briefly here. Machine learning models, because in the BI we are just creating the normal model which go for the pivoting. So we are not talking about, because there is no specific model, but there are some methodologies. So I'm starting from the machine learning. The machine learning algorithm are broadly classified in supervised and unsupervised learning. Supervised learning is basically heavily dependent upon the labeled data. For example, take an example of customer churn. Okay. The customer churn is basically in past history had happened, and we say, okay, that particular customer left us in that particular day, and we have offered them 1 2 3. That was the services the guy was using, and that many services happened, and then we have that particular day the customer has left or customer is not left. So this is a label. Another example of the body symptom and sick and not sick. So again, this is label. So for supervised learning, the label data is required. And the most, the famous algorithms are linear regression, logistic regressions. The second classification is unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning means end user doesn't know how to classify this data. So based on statistical and algorithm meanings, they are going to classify many things. The common example I used to give a people, for example, if we have a vegetable basket, which there are many vegetables or fruit, and I ask, okay, how to how to classify them. So we will do, okay, the similar shape or similar color, we keep it side, and then we okay, this is set number one. For example, these are the potatoes, these are the red colors are the apples, the yellow colors basically these are the mangoes. So this will create by, this famous algorithm K means DB scan, hierarchical clustering. So these are the unsupervised learning. Second set of algorithms are for the deep learning algorithms. Its CNN is, convolutional network, which is very common. We are going to use in the deep learning, and recurrent neural network. These are the network which are working on the text and the graphics. CNN is working on the graphics. RNN is working on the recurrent, neural network. So these are there because when we are dealing with the graphics, we have a different uh, calculation. For example, we are working on pixels and the coloring. On the other side, when we are working on a text, we have a different set of algorithms to work on them. When we combine all of those things, so the generative AI comes into the play. Okay, in large language model, the chat GPT which we are using these days is basically a product name. Okay, chat GPT, it's not a model name. It model name technically different, but inside the common generic name for the large language is a large language model. We have to understand, if you guys have studied the physics or mathematics, I'll give you one very simple example and you will understand little bit about it. In the past, when we were in, the high school, we used to study the physics where we study the vector and cross product multiplication. So vector is basically in the space with x, y, z, multiple dimension. We can look at that particular point. Okay, this point is sitting there. Whole LLM is working on vector. The whole value is going to be between 1, 0, and 1. It go with the precision level like 10 decimal or something. So this is called embedding. So when we are writing in the chat GPT or Gemini, we understand they are going to do the translation for us. They are going to interpret the value and give us the right answer. Honestly speaking, generative AI does not understand anything in English. They understand everything in numerics, and they are running only the algorithm and close matches. Now, what is the difference between the large language model and a small language model? The large language model is depend on the billions of parameters. For example, I have a face. I am a male face. I'm an Asian. For example, if AI has to understand this thing and ethnicity and everything, so they will look into the picture and then create the billion parameters. Asian, male, mustache, eyes, age factor, everything they can record with the between 0 and 1 value. This is called embedding. So they will do those things. And if once these parameters happen, when I pass my picture, okay, tell me in the picture a person is male or female, and then we ask them, okay, with his ethnicity or which area that particular person belongs to. There are billions of parameters, and based on the statistical model, they create the probability. With this probability, they will say, okay, yes, we have a 7.5% probability the person is a male, okay, and then they announce, okay, yes, as per the language model, it is a male. Now, when we talk about a small language model, to recognize a person, we don't need to use 1 billion parameter for one person. We might use go for a million parameters. So it becomes small. So there are many small, the models are available. Phi, Gamma, Llama, Queen, all of those things. The problem with this LLMs and SLM, the LLM we cannot deploy it on a consumer hardware. It's very big and we cannot run, even we apply the GPU, TPUs, all of those things. But SLM, yes, we can do that and we can utilize in-house all of those things. Okay, now we have to understand when we are using generative AI so far in the public domain, what basically had happened at that point in time. See, LLM is not using our data as a training as of now when they are using, because they have a cutoff date, and it's they are using the training on a very expensive mode, very expensive and very time consuming. Months required to train one LLM model on the data. However, when we are using chat gpt, we are basically give away our own information in the public domain, and that information can be used by the service provider, or if we are using the third party links of internet, it can be leaked somewhere else. And I'm sure these are not basically the new things for all of you, because whenever we are using a public internet, this is happen. But in generative AI, this is more happen because we are discussing with the generative AI a proprietary information or very strategic information to work on it. For example, if somebody is using generative AI to summarize their meeting points, so what it gives away either the complete audio or the notes where the strategic discussion had happened. You get that point. So it's very, very vulnerable when we are using generative AI. So when the what is basically the trade between when we are using the public AI is basically the privacy breach, corporation secrets leak. So we all know those things very well. So it means the lack of true anonymization, because they know which organization is using what. Input may become the draining the data in the future, not at the same time. And the prompt injection is a similar thing. The injection, when URL is basically compromised, there's a similar way the URL is basically having the prompt type of thing. But don't worry, I will explain you in detail what is the prompt. Another problem, when we are using the generative AI, is a hallucination. The by build generative AI is responsible to generate the output. It's the same way this generative AI generating the factual information, right information. In a similar confidence, generative AI is creating a false information, because this is their response. For example, you must hear, um, when the chat GPT was booming, and then they are saying, okay, let's generate the poetry, let's generate the new song. How how AI is generating all of those information which has not been there, and there is no previous documentation is available. This is called AI terminology hallucination. Okay, hallucination is controlled by AI model temperature, which is not available in Chat GPT or Gemini, but it is available when, as a developer, we are working through API, so we can set this temperature there. More freezing temperature, it means more accurate. More high temperature, like 1, it means hallucination. Now come back to the point how basically we are going to mitigate this hallucination. There are multiple paths to encounter the AI hallucination. Number one is basically whenever the AI is generating some output, always write down, I need a reference. So they will, at the end, they will share with you the reference. Once you pick up this reference, open those links and go and check yourself. Or if you don't want to do that, pick up those references, open, for example, initially you are working on ChatGPT, pick up those references, now copy paste into the Gemini or DeepSeek or Grok, ask them, validate, and I need to validate this particular reference. They will start giving you the information. Okay, this is information is correct or not. So there are some work. There is not something, the AI is giving you the good productivity, but it comes with the responsibility as well. So as a responsible AI user, you should validate the information. Now, another situation we have, for example, when we ask the question to the AI, AI is giving us a very vague answer or very generic answer. But we are working in our own organization, and we need the AI should understand our data and then given an answer. And based on this information, we understand, okay, what is happening. This also eliminate in the process of hallucination. This is called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. I'll give you very brief idea about a RAG. You know, let's take an example. We are sitting in one of the organization, and the end user wants to know what is the HR policy if I am going to take a course as in the university. Does my corporation will reimburse this expense or not, and how my vacation will compensate, and when we am an exam, how those things will happen. If we go to directly chat GPT DeepSeek, they will give you very generic answer. They will not give you the right answer because they will give you the bookish answer. But you want to know in your own organization what is happening. In this particular situation, the RAG, augmented generation, retrieval augmented generation, start playing the role. So we upload our document, we embed them, and then we start using along with the LLM. They start giving an answer. Okay. Now the next point, which is, let me just see if it is there or no. Okay. There is a one more concept before I go to, the the problem of AI, the shadow AI concept. I'll take this shadow AI concept in the last, but let me bring into back into the sequence. Okay. Uh, uh, I'm sure you are already aware of the buzzword prompt engineering, because this is one of the most important part to use effectively the AI, like ChatGPT, Grok, DeepSeek, or even image generation or the speech generation, everything based on our generative AI. I'll give you a non-technical thing which might help you. After that, I will come into the very technical specifications. But what basically a prompt engineering is, so you will understand. Assume that we are having a person as a new hiree. This new hiree having a sound knowledge of books. He knows every single page of the book. But when I ask the question, I have to be very specific what I want. If I say, okay, what is the weather? Okay, they give you an answer. Okay, the weather is like 1, 2, 3. But this answer is correct. But if you ask weather of which city, which area, and what is the forecast for next 5 days for this particular area, then it will start looking into the system and start giving you the answer, a specific answer. So when we start giving the roles, the context, the output method to the person, and then the person start working with the clear mind what it is expected to output in terms of AI, this is called prompt engineering. There are many methods of the prompt engineering. Right now, the way end user, most of the people are using, like they just go to the chat GPT and then write down, I am facing 1, 2, 3 problem. What is the solution? I want to reduce my weight. What I supposed to do? Okay. AI will give you the answer and give you a detailed answer, but it will not answer for you, for your specific fit, for your specific area, from with your own specific medical condition. So for those doing those things, we have to understand the prompt and the prompt engineering. The prompt engineering is a one shot, multi shot, and then we can specify the specific words where basically it start giving us the reasoning as well. For example, the role base. When we are writing the prompt, the first thing we are assigning like that, your role as a chief information security officer and you have been served a lot of companies as and a CISO. I want you have to evaluate the risk and the compliance document at which I upload right now. So this is basically what we assign them a role. And when we assign the role, we ask them, okay, what is expected? We need, now we are giving them, okay, the context. You need to understand the document and give us the clear 5 bullet points where basically our compliance is lacking and not is lacking not to meet the master policy, which for example, the ISO 27001 standard or DMO data management policy, data privacy policy. Give us the 5 specific bullet points. When you are giving, I'm now creating, the reasoning area. So we say, okay, when you are creating this output, I need, you have to think step by step and create your reference point and give me the reference, how you're thinking and why you conclude this is a gap in my policy. Fourth element will come, how I want, you have to give me the output. You have to give me the rule. You have to give me met, not met. And then you have to share with me the policy and interpretation. Because of this 1-2 policy, your master policy is not matching with the compliance. This is all happening in the prompt engineering. Now let's talk about AI, the use cases in secured environment. For example, there are many tools in the market. For example, HeyGen, 11 Labs. What they are giving, for example, 11 Labs having a capability to clone your voice. Okay. N10 having a capability to run the workflow. And if we combine everything, we can create a virtual call center. A call, whenever the new lead is happening, the call N10 receive, okay, the new cell number is there or new phone number is there. What person is basically understanding and asking, automation trigger, and then call AI directly call them, sir, you have a such and such interest. How can I help you to finish? And you have an order for 1, 2, 3 things. And trust me, I test those things. I cannot recognize this is AI generated or human is interacting with me. Now, smart apartment system. We all know, we are having, so many calendar office, we have a personal, and we are struggling, over time, how to manage it. Generative AI can do these things smartly for you. Use AI automation like agent AI or agentic AI. The most popular tools are N10. Now, ChatGPT also introduced the AI automations. Another key use case is the smart report generation, like environmental reports, Basel reports. With the help of RAG, we can generate those reports automatically by just giving the prompt, and the AI can create the report the way we want. It goes to my database, read the database, generate the vector database, embedding, matching, and it start giving you the answer. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3 things. So far, I do not have, the videos are available. Otherwise, I must share with you those videos. But I have personally worked all of those things myself. So that's why I'm very confident what I'm saying, and those things are available. In the last, but this is not, um, the comprehensive list. I'm just using the most use cases, which basically, the 80% like the call center are using the generative AI. Another use case is the catching anomalies in data reports or the logs file. It's a very, kind of a cumbersome and specialized knowledge when we are wants to check where basically the flaws are sitting. What is, if you want to check, in the old time, I just really able to recall one thing, in the old time, when we want to stop the spam emails, so we have a rule based working, and even then the so many email has passed those things. Another example is sentiment analysis of any e-commerce website or the corporation complaint center when we want to analyze the sentiments. All of those things can be automated through generative AI, machine learning algorithm, we can identify in seconds the transaction is fraudulent, the sentiments is positive or negative. Everything we can, define very quickly in seconds. So these are the main use cases. Uh, AI, the way the AI is evolving right now, I would say the electricity has endless use of their application. Similarly, the generative AI or complete domain of AI having unlimited application of utilization. Uh, like the proactive risk management. A few days back when I was studying, so I have done one research work. The similar thing is basically in a way that I have a documents from ISO, from the government, and my corporation having a policy. Now, before I being audit externally, I want to see where I'm lacking in my policy and the procedure. I create a solution from the generative AI to identify the gap, and it start giving the reasoning and also prescriptive solutions. Okay, what you have to fix in your system, and that will works fine. So the proactively risk management thing is basically going to work. Hyper personalized client experience. I'm sure you're already having, previously what happened in the e-commerce and marketing domain. They create the general marketing campaign. But in terms of I saw so far in telecommunication, they are offering you be based on your utilization of your account, they offer you your personalized package. And it is for you only. It's not for somebody else. So the hyper personalized client experience and services are also there. Uh, uh, I already mentioned, the AI is a machine, it's an algorithm. It is not sleeping, it's not taking rest. So the AI system continuously monitoring the transactions. If we deployed the flag, potential KYC transaction, fraudulent transactions, malicious transactions, they can identify 24 by 7. So these are the main features normally they are using. So I will stop here for a short while. Uh, I welcome your questions right now.
Yeah, there are no questions right now, Cameron, and you can continue if you have something to add. Because usually, as we are transferring this using the YouTube channel, so it's very difficult just to ask questions, unfortunately.
Okay, so I will going on. Okay. See, the bonus example is here. Let me share with you. I have written down a very small brochure, okay, based on one, two, three, four books. Based on these four books, I create one inspirational booklet for you to easy to understand, okay, how you can write, how you can write a bi- uh, effective prompt. So I'll take you through the document very quickly, okay. Uh, First of all, it's saying okay, the prompt engineering structure guide and information. This is about me. And then we are saying we have two types of prompts, structure, non-structure. Under the structure prompts, we are giving you, the 7 steps, how you become a master. See, whenever the new learning start coming, we feel overwhelmed and we think it has a learning and we cannot do it. So if we break this whole learning step by step with the small models, within a month or less, you become a master of those things because the work you have to learn is you already know. The only thing is you need to learn how to communicate AI. If you learn how to communicate AI step by step, so you whatever the AI you are using right now, it become an effective for you. For example, when we are saying foundation. So machine learning, English structure. Machine learning, as I mentioned you earlier, machine learning or LLMs or AI does not understand our English at all. Take from my side, they do not understand. They understand only the numeric. Okay, so when we are talking to them, so we have not to assume. For example, um, if I ask, AI, what I supposed to cook tonight? AI doesn't know what you eat last night or day before yesterday. In the afternoon, they don't know about your personalization. Okay, it's very vague actually. It gives you very generic, very vague answer. Okay, so that's why we are saying it will give you answer, but it will not give you a good answer. So they understand the English in a mathematical model, but they don't understand what is in your perception and your mind. Okay, so you can read all of those context information. I already mentioned debugging, expertise, verification. This is very important point of verification, cross verification, test and tones, chain of thoughts. I'll just talk about a little bit about chain of thoughts. you know uh, there are many models in the market or in the industry where you can frame your prompt. One of them is an actor, AIM, actor input mission. What basically we are saying, assign a person experience to identify the LLMs, shape the tone. As I said, you are working as HR manager and you are an expert to manage new hires. Input, I need to understand to ask them smart questions, especially in the data management field where we are basically hiring them for loans applications. Mission, you have to create a new questions, a set of questions which we have to validate. So give me enough 10 questions with the answers so we can cross validate all of those things. So there are many examples. I write it down in breakup so you can read those things. Code framework, chain of thoughts. Chain of thoughts is, very important, when we are making a decisions. So we are thinking of, because I have make this decision because in the past I have an experience, one, two, three things happen. And because my experience with this person is this, so I'm saying, okay, I should go with him or should not go with him. Or I'm writing right now, last time I wrote my email in this manner to my boss, they really like it. So I break down every single structure with with the activity, date, responsibility, and the follow-up mechanism. They really like it. So chain of thoughts, when we are working on AI, so we ask them to create a chain of thoughts as a prompt. This temperature, which we are talking about right now, for example, like creating a story. If we, as a developer, we are using, so we can create in the prompt one very simple line. If you don't know the answer, simply say, I don't have a back of document and reference document to answer you. Okay, it sets the temperature to freeze. But if we say, okay, you given an answer, we are not saying anything which is related to the temperature, it will give you answer. It is not necessary. It is the right answer. So this is the mitigation of LLM and cross-referencing, checking things. Read this particular, the document, which I will share with the WhatsApp group, group people. So if once you basically register with them, all the registered participant will receive this particular document. Having said that, thank you very much, all of you, for your lovely time and you spent. And I hope you were not sleeping. And this prompt engineering and the AI journey, you must learn something. Thank you very much, and assalamu alaikum.
Yeah. Thank you, Kamran, for the very nice presentation and very informative. And of course, thank you for this additional document that you prepare how to be master in the prompt engineering. So we will distribute to our ISACA members. And for just to remind you, if you would like to receive the 1 CPE point for attending of this webinar, please send to the email info@isaca.wav.pl the information about your name, surname, and ISAC ID. if you have one. So thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, and have a nice evening. Bye.
Thank you.